Alright, let's go set up our turkey blind here. We're kind of hunting this metro spot that I've got here, so we're going to actually come in and set up a blind early. The season doesn't actually start till next week, but we're going to put up a ground blind and put all of our stuff in it so we can kind of just climb in on Wednesday and hunt. They were actually talking snow for opening turkey day, but is what it is. We got that heater we can throw in there, but we're going to get the decoys, everything set up, and see if we can't get ready for Wednesday. So let's go. So day one, we got in the blind. It was really cool because we already had the blind set up. I was able to walk in. I did have my dad with me to kind of help film and run some of the cameras and whatnot. And right off the bat, we had a bunch of birds gobbling. They were really kind of all around us. I think we were surrounded by birds gobbling on the roofs that morning. But there was a few of them that were pretty close, and it actually turned out they got down, flew down from the roofs. We were able to see them fly down. They're about 70 to 100 yards away, and started working their way in, and as they got closer, I could tell right away they were a group of jakes, but it was still really cool. I mean, they walked right to us, came right into the decoys. I was actually filming them for a while, got a bunch of cool pictures and whatnot, and those birds just hung out forever. I mean, they were strutting around. There was one jake in there that seemed to be just a little bit bigger than the rest of them, and he would strut, he would gobble. I'd kind of call back at him, and he'd gobble right back at us, which was awesome, because at one point I want to say we had him at 3 yards, 6 yards, and he'd be gobbling right at us. So it was really cool to watch, and you know, able to get a bunch of cool video of those things as they worked around. And I probably had those birds in front of us for a couple hours at least. And then eventually a hen came through, and of course they were hot on her trail and just kind of slowly walked off into the woods. But all in all, it was a really good way to start the day, and had a really good morning following those jakes and just kind of being able to watch them and see what they do. Well, we sat that morning, you know, watching those jakes that had came through. It was really cool being able to kind of, you know, have an eye on them. We were able to get a bunch of cool pictures and videos of them and just kind of watch those birds work. But eventually we got cold and kind of tired of sitting there, and the birds really seemed to settle down. And we're in such a transition zone on this spot where they kind of roost there, but then they'll head out into a cornfield and kind of some of the neighbors' properties where they have some strutting zones. So the afternoon gets a little bit slower, but I knew evening was going to be good in that spot, just because a lot of birds, you know, after they go strut for a while, they'll come back, kind of cross through that patch of woods, and eventually kind of roost in some of those big oaks that are on that property. So, you know, I got in the afternoon. I was actually by myself at that point, so I was sitting there for a while, and it just felt like hours had gone by. And I really hadn't seen anything, but I did hear a few faint gobbles kind of back over my shoulder. So I knew that they were in the area, and with it being such a small property, I just can't really go and chase them down. I kind of got to wait for them to come to me. And so I sat there for a while, and eventually I could hear the gobbling getting closer, and next thing you know, here comes a big group of hens, and there had to be 6, 7 hens kind of in that group, and you know, they kind of walked right in front of me, and I knew those toms had to be right behind them, because you know, early in the season like this, obviously the toms are really henned up, and you find hens, you can usually find the birds. So I kind of peeked out through the front of the blind, and sure enough, here comes a group of toms, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. There was 11 toms in this group, all long beards, and they're walking, coming right in. And as they started to get closer, like I knew I wasn't gonna call at them because they were pretty much committed at that point. I just kind of hoped some of them would see my decoys and work in. And next thing you know, the group was coming in, they're walking pretty slow. but you know, coming right at me, and they kind of split up a little bit as some were going around a downfall tree and whatnot, but 3 of them broke off from that group and came right in. And I mean, I was trying to adjust the camera, trying to turn on my other camera angles with my action cam and whatnot, and next thing you know, the birds are standing at about 6 yards. And you know, in my mind, I thought, oh, this is easy. So I picked out the one with the longest beard, adjusted the camera. Actually, I just zoomed it back out a little bit just because they had gotten so close. So I was able to get the camera right on him, and there was one with a little bit longer beard, and he was actually facing away from me and just slightly, you know, downhill out of the blind. And I pulled up and, you know, took a shot, and once you know it, I missed him.
Gosh, dang it. That sucks. I've literally been sitting here since 5 o'clock. I had a whole group of jakes come in the morning, and then came and sat this evening because I figured they'd come back kind of on their way to roost, and dude, I just missed. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, next morning, I climbed up in the blind and, you know, didn't know what to expect, obviously, after kind of shooting at those birds and spooking them off. And so I climbed in and did hear a few gobbling birds around me and whatnot, but they just wouldn't commit. Nothing was really coming my way. And with my season kind of coming close to an end, after sitting there for, you know, a number of mornings or whatever, after shooting at those birds, I figured it was my last chance to kind of get up out of that blind and see if I could go find a bird. So, you know, it's a real small property. I don't have a lot of area to really work with, but I was able to kind of, you know, hear some gobbling and just try to chase some birds down, and that's exactly what I did.
Heck yeah, finally got one done. We had all those jakes come in. I had that big group of toms come in that I missed at 6 yards, but finally was able to put a sneak on a bird. I didn't get the kill on camera, but this is an awesome bird. He's a good one too. Check this bird out. This thing's cool. Come check this bird out. This is cool. Holy cows. Look at the beard on that thing. That's awesome. This literally might be my biggest turkey ever. Look at the hooks on that thing. Holy cows. That's awesome. I mean, you know, I just been being patient, sitting in the blind every single morning and even nights, and finally had to work yesterday, gave the spot kind of a rest, and came back today and heard them gobbling kind of off in the distance, and I knew they weren't gonna make their way in, so I was able to put a sneak on them, and in this open timber, which is, you know, it can be tough because it's hard to spot him, but seeing this bird, called at him a little bit, and he came just charging in. So that's awesome. We're going to grab this bird and head on out of here. Finally bring a close to the Minnesota turkey season this year. So heck yeah, that's awesome.